Holy fucking shit, gents, we're back.
It's, man, we haven't done one of these since last year.
The seat's cold. I don't like it.
It's all cold. Everything is cold right now.
Everything
It's
is
like,
so
it is
cold.
20-something outside.
Oh, it's glorious. I love it.
I mean, yeah.
Well, now you've heard us talk about the weather. Burn it all down. We're done.
I mean, I was just in Colorado for 5 days, and let me tell you about cold. Also, what are we doing?
Still getting it there.
Say what's in this drink. Maybe it's cold outside. Baby, these lyrics are really disturbing in the year of our Lord 2018.
Yes, this is technically our first show of 2018.
The show has lasted a whole year.
Yes.
Made it.
Well, I mean, it lasted.
That's right,
the
a
end.
whole year.
It's probably been a year since we first conceived that this might be a thing we might someday do.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah,
probably
probably.
around this time.
I think something like that.
And we've got stuff to talk about. Let's kind of lay out what we're going to be doing here
Sure.
today.
Play it out for me.
We're going to talk about. We've got 2 episodes to talk about.
Two whole episodes
Yep.
of anime.
Which is the finale, episode 11 of Inuyashiki, and then episode 12 of Ancient Magus Bride. They took a week off for the new year.
Kind of worked out well like that, actually.
Yeah.
It did.
So we're going to talk about those. We're not going to separate that into regular and unsnipped because that's just nonsense at this point. We're just going to talk about those.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have like a maybe 15-minute episode of FMK.
Yeah. I mean, as it is, well, we'll see. So that's going to be Anime FMK. As we go into what would normally be our unsnipped segment, that's going to be our kind of... It's going to be our 4 weddings and a funeral.
Yes.
Four funerals. Wait, what was it? 7 funerals, 8 funerals, and up to 3 weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be where we just talk about the season in retrospect, and also announce what each of us are marrying for the season.
Plot twist. Do we have to marry something?
I would say yeah.
Yeah,
I would say
I'm
yes.
going to say yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw a last minute wrench.
Yep.
No.
And then when we get, so that's going to be video 2. It's going to be our marriage ceremony. And then we're going to have the Fuck Buddy Awards. We've got a list of categories that we'll go over in its totality later on. But yeah, we're gonna talk about things like best soundtrack, most disappointing show, best episode, best single episode of the season. So we've got a list of nominees. They are not definitive. We can add stuff on the fly. That's if you think of something in the moment, like, oh, we should have. It's fine. Add it to the list.
Yeah, you're
Ben, you idiot! You forgot.
Exactly.
You'll see the whole debate process. It's not just, hey, here it
Yeah.
is. Here's what we picked. You're gonna see the whole blood
Yeah.
and other fluids that result in the list.
Yep. If anybody out there is a giant bomb fan, I
Yes.
know I am. They do every year. They do their top 10 game of the year category. And a bunch of categories, and they release all of their deliberations as a podcast. And it was 26 hours
Yeah.
of podcast
It's
this
nuts.
year. Yeah, these people are insane. We're not going to go that long because we have comparatively less to talk about, and there are fewer of us. But that is very much the model for what I want to do with this, because I think in this case, watching the sausage get made is way more interesting than eating this gnarly ass sausage. Fuck the opening the envelope. That part's boring. It's
It is.
how we get there.
Man, I want to see the death match of the committee for the fucking Oscars.
Who's got the most money? That's the death match.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The real treasure was the acrimonious debates we had along the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So guys, let's have some acrimonious debates, except probably not.
Yeah.
not, no.
We're down
let's
to
see.
we're down to that good shit. And what better shit could there be than Inuyashiki, episode 11, the finale? Inuyashiki confesses to his family that he's a robot man, and they accept and reassure him. Hiro shows up at Ando's place, claiming to want to hang out and read manga like old times. Ando calls Inuyashiki, but Hiro flees before he arrives. Inuyashiki sets off into space to attempt to divert the planet-killing asteroid, remember that thing? But is unable to do so. Hiro shows up on the asteroid and claims that if he detonates, his robot body, it will divert the asteroid enough to save the Earth. He does so, but it appears the asteroid will still impact the Earth, so Inuyashiki also self-detonates, saving the Earth as his family weeps in grief. Holy fucking shit, guys. Inuyashiki is done. It is concluded. This was the end.
And that was a conclusive an ending as you could possibly get.
Short of blowing up the Earth.
Yeah. Sort of blowing up the whole Earth.
And
which I did not rule out as a
I know, like the whole
possibility.
time I'm like, okay, and then the Earth blows up and old man is drifting. Like this, oh God.
Guys,
I don't know where to start.
I'm going to throw it out there. Would this have been a better ending if they'd blown up the Earth?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I think it would have been antithetical to the theme, the tone of the show.
Yes.
I think if this were Gantz, yes, absolutely, Earth probably could have gotten blown up. For this series, this series was about optimism. It was about doing the right thing. It was about humanity, the people of Shinjuku, the people of Tokyo. And I think Armageddon would have been antithetical to what the mangaka was trying to talk about here.
I think you could make an argument for, and boy, we're just going off. Well, this is my fault. I brought it up.
Yeah.
Let's go off into Crazy Town.
Take all the credit and blame.
Yes. I think you could make an argument that optimism in the face of absurdity is a powerful thing. And this is a show that dabbles in absurdity, not to nearly the black extent of Gantz.
Yeah.
But the fact that these two gentlemen became robot men because a couple of aliens fucked up and basically hit and run their asses.
Exactly.
I think that I would have appreciated the absurdity of, and it was not enough to save the Earth. They were robot men for, I don't know, a couple months. You're not really sure. And then the Earth got blown up. I think I could have appreciated that.
Yeah. Again, either way, I would have been fine with it. But ultimately, I think the core theme of this is encapsulated with the Tokyo episode of you get kind of the author kind of steps out from the background and goes, the hope of this generation, these old folks that actually give a shit and aren't stuck on the internet and being all sad all the time. They're the ones who will fix shit.
Yeah. It's kind of fascinating because you see in both Hiro and Inuyashiki different facets of humanity and a lot of very stark and disturbing yet somewhat hopeful means. That's why, like, I was curious and I wanted to see the buzz about this show, and the people who like it really love it and the people who hate it think it's overrated garbage. And I really think it's all about how you interpret these characters, what you take away from them, because I think at face value, this show could just be like, well, whatever. It's about some old guy who gets turned into a robot. But I think it really hit all three of us. So this ending, like where we lose both of them, I legitimately thought Hiro was going to be enough.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be enough. But I was not surprised when
Yeah.
Nope, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
So
now here's my question too. Did Hiro know that just him wasn't going to be enough?
I don't know.
Because I think he had to. Like, he's doing all these head calculations with his robot brain, and then, he blows himself up. It pushes the asteroid a certain extent, and then Inuyashiki does the same, like, head brain analyses, and this is not difficult math.
Yeah.
Like, with human science that we have now, this is pretty simple physics. Like, give me a couple of days to brush up on my algebra and my physics, and I could probably run these calculations.
He could save us like Bruce Willis.
Which, hold on. Well, we'll talk about that. There's a scene in this episode that is spectacularly anachronistic.
But yeah, my firm belief is that Hiro went up there knowing that his sacrifice alone would not be enough to do it, but also either figuring like, yeah, he's working off the same data, he'll figure it out, and then he will either do what needs to be done or he won't. Nothing is served by me asking or pleading, or I'm just going to do this, because to him, this is a person with such a simple worldview. This is, for Hiro, this is the only thing that has meaning anymore.
Yeah.
Killing people has no more meaning because everybody's going to die anyway.
I can definitely see him using that as the only way he's gonna know he can die, because Inuyashiki's not gonna probably kill him. He's not gonna be like, "Hey, kill me right now." He's gonna go, "No, I'm not gonna do it." He's like, "Okay, I will sacrifice myself to save the asteroid, please." And because Inuyashiki also asks him, "Why were you at the park?" And he doesn't answer him. He doesn't say why he was there when the alien showed up. He only like further asserts, "Please just kill me."
Yeah.
Like I really just want to die. So I could see that, but I don't think that's the thing to take away from it. I do think it is ultimately Inuyashiki did what he had to do.
Yeah.
It's sort of interesting to me because this was the ultimate actual redemption for Hiro. Like there's literally nothing better that he could have done. And while it does not necessarily redeem his character all that much, you can definitely say that in the end he definitely saved more lives than he took. I wouldn't obviously call him a hero. He basically, he murdered families, so nope, he's out the window as being like a good guy. But again, this was Hiro's story as much as it was Inuyashiki's.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
And to see it come to a close like this was satisfying for me. Although I do have to say this because, and maybe, again, this is the meta-knowledge speaking, I could have had this as 2 episodes because a lot of events zoom by. I did feel like there needed to be a little bit more time for some of this stuff to sink in because this was a big ending for this show. It did not kill it for me, but there were moments where I'm like, okay, this is just happening, okay. I'm not having a whole lot of time to let this sink in, especially Hiro's death. Like, it just done. He explodes. You see, like, a very beautiful shot. The shot of his body going apart is great, but it just kind of happens, and then it wasn't effective. So if I could say anything, I do feel like this was paced a little quickly, and I think, again, that's because the mangaka had to wrap this up. But that's my biggest complaint about this episode, is that, yeah, it was a little too quickly paced. I feel like it could have taken some time for emotional resonance.
Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely gave me the impression of something where the author knew how they wanted to end it and did not have the space that they needed to get there from here.
Which I could see. I feel like this ending was premeditated a bit. I feel like he knew where this was going to end. Like these 2 guys, and then obviously, okay, we can't have these on the planet anymore. They gotta die. They gotta die somehow. And I feel like he does frame this in a way. You mentioned redemption. I think that is the whole point of Hiro doing that. You have just that scene of them on the asteroid with the whole planet, and I just kept thinking in my head, is that enough? Is that what it takes for some serial killer to be redeemed? But ultimately, it's not my job to be the person to say, okay, now you passed. Now you're good. Now you're a good guy. Who fucking cares what I think? But it's interesting because it postulates that what can he do to recover from that, and can he recover from something like that like in the eyes of a lot of people? And in his last moments, he was thinking, I have people I want to save, and I think that's like still that was always in his core. That was always there. And I think we kind of muddled around a bit in the middle. We were like, man, I want Inuyashiki to come back. But the development with Hiro had such a good payoff to me that I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, I think this is a show that deals in transactional morality, in the idea of this cosmic balance between how much good you've done and how much, not unlike that one Kino's Journey that we talked about. Just, in a very less direct, straight ahead way.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, it's very much an open question. It asked the audience, hey, Hiro saved the entire Earth. Is that enough? And Shion at one point straight up says, no, all those people you killed are unique and irreplaceable. You can't just, when, Hiro does what Hiro does and says, well, I'll just save as many lives. Yeah. That'll make it okay, right? And by that point, she's realized, like, no, that's not, like, you didn't actually turn over a new leaf when you were saving all those people. It's not because you regretted what you did. It's not because you realized why it was wrong. So no, I can't be a party to this.
Yeah. And I think up until the very end, he still thinks of lives as transactions. And again, that's the reason I can say that his actions overall, he has done more good than he did evil. But yeah, at the end of the day, I wouldn't say like he redeemed himself in terms of his personality.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think that's
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
it is way more
want
satisfying
that, yes.
than
That's what I like.
than if in the 11th hour he had realized the error of his ways. Oh, these people who are precious to me, all people are like that. Everyone has their own hopes and dreams. Like, no, I like the fact that he is who he is until the end.
Yeah. Because that's more realistic.
Yeah.
That is. There are heroes out there. There are people like that. And it's and I think that was at the forefront of the author's mind, was that he sees a lot of people like this, or at least trying to think in his mind, like, okay, who would be typing comments like this about my work? That's because there's a whole lot of shit going on with the fourth wall meta-narrative things, which I think actually did bolster this show for me. It was so real and very grounded, despite its insanity.
100%.
Yeah, and I think we haven't talked about it yet, but I know the internet kind of had some fun with it. Trump shows up.
Yes!
And and I was laughing because I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. They did it. But I'm like, sure. This is like the only show I feel like did that and it worked for me.
Yeah.
Any other show I would have been like, whatever. The Trump show, that's stupid. But it worked here. And if you want to have any show that's going to tackle the hot button topics, the show doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. I remember watching that scene thinking, okay, yeah, this makes sense. I 100% believe that this is in this show. Mm-hmm. And I want to hand it to him. That was a damn okay Trump impression. I wasn't
for somebody who English was clearly not their first language.
Right. He got the mannerisms down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious because whoever was playing that, I'm not even sure they were Japanese.
Yeah, they clearly weren't like native English speaker, but
yeah.
Like most of the things they were saying, you could understand them.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there were some intonations like, okay, that's not how how somebody who speaks English as a first language would say that. Mm. But damn, no, that was funny. I laughed pretty heartily at that because
Yeah, and I don't know that it was like deep, incisive political satire. It certainly doesn't dwell on it, but yeah, it brings Trump in, and what does Trump do? He makes the end of the world about him.
Yeah.
Which is what Trump would do. And that's...
and I like the fact that he's like, I became president, I got what I wanted, all y'all losers can suck it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is way too real.
I think it's implied that the U.S. goes on like lockdown for everything. Like, it's because I wish we got more on that, like just a tiny bit. I didn't need like a full thing on that, but just the world kind of delving into chaos.
I have a little bit to talk about that when we get into the full segment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm actually on the same. Like, I can't wait to talk about the show as a whole when we get to that, because there are a lot of moments in there that worked really well, and I personally believe that there are moments that didn't work. Oh, and I can't wait to talk about that, because Inuyashiki, like, let's all be fair, has been one of the most interesting shows this season with the most to talk about. So, man, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, but before we do that, things that happened this episode that we haven't really touched on, Inuyashiki reconnects with his family.
Oh my God, that segment is so...
I was bawling, man.
Yeah,
I fucking lost it.
And I really liked that they do not. So his wife and his daughter, his daughter, obviously, she had already had some time to come to terms because she knew already that he was a crazy robot man.
Yeah.
His wife pretty much immediately like, no, you are still my husband. I still love you. His son took some extra time.
Yeah. I liked that with his son. That was really interesting.
Yeah, the stuff with the son, we already got that stuff with Mari, and that was really important. I'm glad, you know what, like, as I said before, this show was really good at making a character feel like a real person in just a couple of lines. Yeah. So I'm really glad we got that time with Mari. Otherwise, these scenes would not have resonated with me as emotionally as it did. With the son, he had one episode to do it, and he still managed to make this kid interesting.
Yeah.
And have a relate, like, when he's like, I wish I were a robot too. And Inuyashiki's like, let me tell you something about that.
Yeah, they had just enough time to make that work, and I was the dog also
lived.
survived. We had the final shot with Hanako running out the door as he flies to the asteroid. I was like, ah!
Yeah, no, like, sorry, I'm taking care of something real quick.
You're good.
Yes, that. Oh man, I swear to God, this dog was gonna die at the beginning of this show. The fact that Hanako made it all the way through to the end, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Also very happy because that
Same.
dog was his only friend. But luckily by the end of the show,
By the end of it, his whole family was so supportive, and man,
yeah, no, the fact that his family came around meant the world to me. I'm
killed me, dude.
so happy.
yeah.
And oh god, that moment where she's like, what was our honeymoon?
Yeah, where she's like, "What was our honeymoon? What we do?" And he just,
And it's like,
man.
we went to the sex museum, but I fell down and I hurt myself, and I'm like, the story is just so. I love what this mangaka does, which is brilliant. They say to be a good liar, always add a little detail in there that seems embarrassing or out of place, like something awkward, something like, well, I don't know why he brought that up, but the fact that he did, it's probably true. I mean, like that little detail adds something to it. The fact that he talks about the sex museum in some prefecture, I'm like, that is so, like that one little bit is just a perfect indication of why this guy's writing is so good. He makes it human, he makes it relatable, or he makes it just awkward enough to throw you off.
You're like, "Oh yeah, of course." That's just how you would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, I wish we had more time with the family, because as it is, looking at it in broad strokes, they kind of treat him like shit and just overlook him and ignore him until it turns out that he's Robot Jesus, and then they love him again. And I think that's a weird look.
Mari, here's the thing. I think it's good that we got the scenes with Mari, because as we see, Mari did care about him, but as all teenagers do, she fell away from her dad. Like I understood what was happening there, even though it was sad. It's depressing, but it's very real.
Yeah. And I like that with Mari. I wish we had gotten more time with the wife and the son to learn a little more, like why were they so dismissive of him early on? Like, how did they get to that point, and how did they come back from it?
Yeah.
I think you don't need to know that. Because if you see the way that Inuyashiki is at the beginning of this series, hell, the way that he is throughout the entire series, he's very passive, he's very small, he's very demure, and he's aged rapidly. Like, that I was curious about. I was kind of curious, like, he's obviously aged faster than he was supposed to, and which I know that happens to some people, it's probably a genetic thing. It does not surprise me, especially if you're familiar enough with Japanese culture. It is very likely that he just kind of fell away from his family because he's a pushover. He's not a go-getter. He doesn't make a lot of money. So yeah, his family just kind of like, okay, this is dad. So I didn't need to know why. I was able to pick that up very quickly. But I will agree that it would have been nice to have more time with the family, because that dynamic ended up being so very fascinating. And we just got it on the second half of the show. Then again, I have more to talk about with time spent with certain characters again later. But I will agree. I would have loved to have seen that dynamic, although there is something kind of extra heartbreaking about the fact that they only really reconnect for one night. They only get that, and then it's gone.
That's kind of what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
Because it highlights how, I don't know, I'm losing the word here, but just how, I don't know, sparse, how fleeting all this is. The moments that you have to treasure your family are few and far between. Enjoy them. Like that was my takeaway. Like, I agree, it would have been cool to have more with them, but I think it overall served the plot and the message better by just having them, everyone come in here, everything's gonna be fine, we all love you. Sometimes shit just happens. People die.
But the most important thing in this episode is that Mari got into Shonen Jump!
I know, yeah. I'm usually not one like to really belabor epilogues. Like, yeah, I'll take him if they're there, but man, perfect amount at the end. Having her win the contest and get her manga and Jump is very good.
You can tell who this guy knows who his audience is, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that.
This was always like laser focused on a certain person, like a certain audience, and he got it.
And somebody out there in the comments is going to say, well, man, I wish it could have been more general. No, fuck that.
No.
Always know who your audience is and what you want to write for and what you want to do, because there's a million different general bullshit out there. I love genre pieces. I love pieces that are about something. Like, you didn't. He doesn't dig Scott Pilgrim. I don't belabor him. I understand. I get it. It was made for.
Yeah, it was made for
like
you.
me.
It was not. It was not made for him.
I love Scott Pilgrim. It hits me on an emotional level, and I don't belabor anybody who doesn't dig it. So if there is a piece that is made for a specific person, or hell, if it's just made for the person who created it and it just happens to resonate with you, good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's just any staple of writing. Anything you create, have a target audience in mind. And that just, this hits it so good.
And there's no problem, again, by the way, with doing something general. Like, I want something that will, resonate with the most people possible. Really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, good luck. Nothing wrong with it. But, yeah, there's also nothing wrong with this show and the things it tried to do and the things it tried to say and the people it tried to say it to. Because, god damn it, I loved this show.
Yeah.
Kieran, why don't you hold up a card for us?
Were you surprised?
Scott, hold up a card for us.
All right. Well,
I know you gotta pick.
love you, baby. Love you.
And guys, of course, I'm also going to hold up that perfect eggplant. Although I will say, I thought this, as a finale, this was kind of uneven.
Yeah.
But when it comes to holding up our cards for finales, when there's it's not like we're cutting the show's done. It's a matter of like a kill at this point would mean this finale is so bad that you shouldn't even watch it. And it is certainly not that. Like if you have come this far, watch it up to the end. I do wish this finale had more space to work. It was imperfect, an imperfect end to an imperfect show, but still well worth your time.
Absolutely.
I think that is a perfect summary. I think this show tries a lot of things that other shows don't, and they don't dabble in, be it a lack of skill or scared to dwell with these subjects. Yeah. The fact that this show just went with them, I appreciate everything it did.
This show is about something, which is not something that we can say for a lot of the stuff that we talked about this season.
Absolutely. Like, even like that, I think that was one of the problems with Gato. It didn't have a focus. It just kind of meandered too much.
It was just popcorn. There you go.
But speaking of other shows that are about something.
Yes! Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Ancient Magus Bride, episode 12. Lyndall finishes Chise's wand. Upon touching it, she is zapped into a misty realm between life and death, where she has a nice chat with Niven, the dragon who died in episode 3. Upon returning, she summons some fire spirits and turns into a dope phoenix thing and flies back to Elias. That night, she has a dream flashback thingy to a rare positive memory of both of her parents.
Are you just trying to challenge yourself to see how little detail you can put into the description of these things?
I mean, that's the thing. There is no middle ground between this and what we can totally do right now, which is going scene by scene. That is the broad, overarching, here are the things that happened. Now let's get into that.
Yeah, it's like if you read the wiki summaries for this show, you'd be like, oh, yeah, sounds cool, I guess. I have no idea. Like, just mentioning, he finishes her wand. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so last episode, he was trimming her hair because her hair needs to go into I think he said the core of her wand. That might have been a translation thing. I don't know, but it does not go into the core. It becomes like the varnish, the coating over the wood, turns it into this beautiful sunset color.
Yeah.
He pulls out this. So the wand it's carved like the top is carved into a bird shape.
Yeah.
He pulls out these pearls, opals, I forget what they were, that spent 1,000 years
at the bottom of the lake.
Absorbing sunlight and moonlight filtered through the water, and he puts them, that becomes the bird's eyes, but he reprises his song from last episode and turns them from this beautiful blue to the green of her eyes.
And it's this, oh my God.
It's so good.
And it's so Robin.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I'm assuming it's a robin. I mean, she's the robin. It's a bird.
Yep.
Oh my God. There were 2 musical segments in this, and oh my Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin because this episode.
I was slightly disappointed that Lyndall's musical segment this episode was basically a reprise of the same musical segment from last episode where it was done better.
Yeah, okay. If I have to get the bad stuff out of the way, this show needs to learn how to do musical bits. Like, stunning imagery lingers too far on some shots. Like, I understand what they're trying to go for, but there's not enough visual splendor going on the screen for me to take in a bunch of stuff during this part. You know that scene where he's singing and they're all looking at the pretties in the atmosphere? Why aren't we looking at the pretties? Why are we looking at them looking at the pretties for like 15 whole seconds?
I thought they did it perfectly last episode. This episode was still good, but like you said, sometimes lingered a little too long.
Yeah, I gotta wonder if that's budgetary.
Yeah,
that's in my head. That's what I like, kind of infer. And I go, okay, this is budget. This isn't what this is like. They're not their dream vision of this, but I can see what you're going for.
Yeah.
I will go the extra step to meet you there.
Yeah, and that's what I did that.
Yeah.
And that being said, this may be my favorite episode of the whole goddamn season, just because of the huge emotional resonance it got for me. I was near tears for most of this episode. The scene with Nevin is...
Oh, God, they brought his ass back.
Like, I would never have thought they'd bring Nevin back.
I know.
And I didn't... If you told me they bring Nevin back, I would have been like, no, don't.
Yeah, that's terrible. Why would you do that? No, he's dead.
But the scene... That scene where she enters the land of the gods for the first time. Like, you're like, oh, shit. Like, you don't expect that to happen. And fucking... what's his name? Lyndall didn't expect it either.
Yeah.
And she just shows up there and she's like, oh shit, Nevin. And then the moment it's a frightening scene actually at first, because you're like, oh shit, she probably shouldn't be there. That's even Lyndall's like, yeah, we shouldn't linger here very long. And it's not a place most humans apparently should be. So when you see a glint and you see another thing there, you're like, uh-oh, what's that? And when it ends up being Nevin, it's this beautiful scene where he's like, well, why don't you talk? Like, she didn't talk to herself while making the wand. And she's supposed to. And I think that's an important process. And I think he's like, talk to yourself. Get out there. You need to be introspective. You can't continue to be passive like this. And the scene where she just sits down and talks to herself.
This episode wraps up a lot of thematic elements. This is not the season finale, because this is going to go 24 episodes, but it very much felt like the end of an arc.
Oh, yeah. In fact, it's taking a break, and it's going to start its next cour. Like, if you'll notice, the opening of these first 12 episodes are they have every scene, like basically every episode is in that opening if you watch.
Yeah, and it's going to be, as I understand it, there's going to be a new opening starting next episode.
That makes sense after the insert moment later.
Yeah.
It had its moment. I'm good.
Can we just talk about Nevin and thanking her parents?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I fucking lost it.
I know.
I couldn't take it. Like,
Yeah.
just... I know so many people who have struggled with life, with living their lives. You know, I've known people who have committed suicide. I know people who have been suicidal, who have tried it. And this one scene is just this moment where he's like, thank you to Chise's mom and dad for bringing her into this world. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been fulfilled. These people wouldn't have been fulfilled. And it's just this moment of like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's the thing that really comes to mind when like that kind of, it's the sobering thought of, you know, the depression and suicide is solved internally. No matter what anybody else does outside, it's not gonna fucking matter. Really, you can try all you want, but you're not gonna fix it. They have to. And for this realization for her to realize that other people like her and to really internalize that, because it's clear that she hasn't like meditated or anything, and that's you know always brought up as a way to kind of get yourself out of it, is really think inside, think about a lot of stuff you're feeling, talk, just get it out there, which I love how they frame this as if she's meditating, kind of, because then she comes back and he's like, where'd you go? She didn't actually physically go anywhere, she's just kind of being introspective at this point. So it was a really powerful visual metaphor, that whole thing, to me. She might have actually been there, but I read it as like,
oh yeah, she was definitely there, I think.
Yeah.
Like-
It doesn't
but
matter.
It didn't seem like she physically disappeared from where Lyndall was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Lyndall says, you were just kind of looking off into space.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, my point being is that she's meditating, and that is a very powerful tool for her to realize that with someone else there saying, I thank you for this happening. I'm glad all this happened. Yes, shit happens along the way, but all the good stuff happens too. And if you can focus on that, it's really just shifting your perspective. Think about things in a different way. And it was a transformative moment for her, as we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely one. So this is another one of those direct quotes that I wrote down. Nevin says to her to value oneself, and he's
that quote.
Yeah, I love the exact wording too, because he is never telling her you have to do this. This is what you have to do. He's just making observations about.
What was the quote exactly?
But the exact quote was, to value oneself so little, as though one were disposable, is to say that those they've saved are also worthless. And it's like flashing back to the souls from the city of Katzark that she set free,
Yep.
to all the people she's met, to Nevin himself, who says, like, yeah, I got to spend my last moments in the material world flying free because you were there. And that's something that, like, with my own personal struggles of not always feeling like I'm good enough. And the way that my mentor has put it to me is, well, all of these people who are expecting great things from you, who want you to move out to Dallas to work with you. Do you think that, me, I hired you to do this stuff, and do you think all those people are idiots? Okay, then what does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. It's taking that, getting it out there and thinking about how does that impact other people? Because it's not when a thing with suicide, when that happens, it's not, the person isn't going to. It's hard to word this. The thing that happens that's really going to be transformative is thinking not about yourself, but about other people and what that is going to do. It's really just, can you own that you matter to other people, that you are not this worthless thing that you think you are, but other people say that you're great. Maybe you should listen to them. Maybe they're not stupid. Maybe they're not lying to you. Like it's a lot of it comes down to perception and giving her that, like, really just all she needed was a switch in her head to go, oh yeah, I had that good moment. Just instead of focusing on the bullshit, focusing on what really was good in her life. That's all she needed. It's a powerful thing. I really enjoyed that moment. Made me cry like a little bitch.
Yeah.
And then she turns into a big flamey phoenix bird and flies on home.
Yeah, and speaking of the next time I almost cried, that whole scene
gorgeous.
is so gorgeous. God,
Yeah.
damn it.
They blew their whole load on that.
And
It's
then when
great.
she comes down and they use the shot from the opening, I was like, and done. I'm like, oh, well.
Yep. And as we've been seeing those little clips from those half-second clips from the opening come to pass in the show, that is one that I've been looking at like, ooh, when's that going to happen, though? When's that going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually, it's interesting because everything except for that opening shot, all those scenes happen and they're all amazing. And God, yeah, no, this episode is really felt like the season finale that it really is supposed to be. It is a season.
Yeah.
So just way to go. I can't believe how good a finale. If this were the end of the show, I'd be like, I want more, but man, way to go.
Good advertisement for the manga. You did it.
Yeah, right? There you go. That'd be fine.
Oh my God, don't say that. That's too real. I still want my next Devil's a Part-Timer season, or maybe more on
right?
Host Club. God damn it.
Yeah. The what we haven't brought up is why she's in such a rush to go back too.
Yeah, she wants to tell something to Elias.
Yeah, because there's Nevin kind of pokes a bit and they're like, don't you have something you should, you're saying all this to yourself. Shouldn't you tell this to someone else? Shouldn't there be someone else you're opening up to? And so she internalizes that a bit and goes, yeah, I've done a lot of this shit. I haven't really opened up much. I should probably, do something about that. And we get that nice moment with her in in the bath earlier, and she's like, kind of thinking about it a bit more. But once she has that moment with him, going, oh yeah, now I gotta fucking do it. I'm flying my ass right over there, and she doesn't say it.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot.
I'm here or there on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out. I doubt that they are going to start the next season with her.
Hi, I love
spilling it all
you.
out.
Yeah, it's I'm glad. I don't know. I guess because I know there's going to be a second season. I think internally I was like, okay, maybe she can't say it because we have X, Y, and Z plot coming on later. But just in the moment,
Man,
I don't know.
I hope it's like. What I'm hoping for is the next episode is the step up to that. Like, okay, I need to say it, but how? What do I say? I'd like that to be that because I don't want that dragged out.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little scared of.
Yeah.
I don't know. That resonate with you at all? That she didn't say anything?
I think that felt very real because she wants to say it. She wants to say it right that second, and instead she conks out of sleep because she used too much magic.
Yeah.
And
Very realistic.
yeah,
Yes.
and but no, that's how life is. You are all fired up, and then it's not time yet for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And when something is so important that you want it to be that perfect moment, at what point are you just dragging it out? At what point are you making excuses? And at what point is it, no, it's okay, I'm just waiting for the right time? I think that's very real, very relatable.
Yeah. Man, and we were talking all about her this episode because it really is mostly about her.
Yeah.
But man, all the supporting characters throughout this whole show,
Yeah.
rock solid.
Agreed.
Supporting cast is probably best worked here.
Yeah, I got to admit.
So good because then you see the flashback. Just when he mentions like think of all the people you helped, and then we see the flashbacks to all the other magical assholes. I'm like, yes, that was great.
This is gonna sound really weird, but I love her relationship with Ruth.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's affectionate. It's close, but it's purely platonic.
Yeah.
It's this great like. I don't know why. Again, I love dogs. I love dogs so much. And this little fucking dog dude is like, oh man, this is really bad. I really want to chase those things.
Yeah, right.
And he's so serious.
Yeah.
That's the best part is that he's such a serious character. And he's like, fuck.
Yeah, because she wakes up and there's always like little sheep thingies floating around. He's just staring. This is bad.
And also he points out immediately like, you had a good dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
With a nice heartwarming sequence of her kind of starting up her day. Like this is the I feel like this is the best way to illustrate someone kind of having this visual perception change of, okay, now my day's starting and I'm not looking down. I'm not looking at everything that's shit. I'm not stuck in my own head. I'm like, yo, Silky's over there. What's she doing? Hey, what's she over there? What are you working on? And it gets her out of her own head in this, like, we finally see her really appreciating everything she has in this household in, like, the last scene. And that was so good.
The way she greets Silver is very nice.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, she for the first time, I think maybe ever addresses Silver in this very positive, forward manner. And God, one of the things I've always, like, as we've talked about, we wanted Chisei to grow up and be happier and more self-reliant. And God, this series has done such a good job with that development.
Yes.
Like, none of it has felt forced. All of it has, like, resonated emotionally. Sometimes the show can be a little too safe, just a little bit. But it has also shown teeth plenty of times. So nothing ever feels 100% safe. Mm-hmm. So... Man, I can't wait to talk about the show again. I want to talk about the show now.
Yeah, but as a finale, I think it did everything I wanted from it.
Yeah.
Including dropping a couple of plot threads for the next arc.
Yeah.
Which is that, so Nevin talking about Chisei's parents and her mom specifically, says, sometimes when animals are under a lot of stress, when they're threatened, when they're not sure if they'll survive, like, yeah, sometimes they will turn on their own offspring because as long as they survive, they can still have more. Why did Chisei's mother eventually not kill her when she came very close to it? That's a flashback that we've dealt with before. And then in the flashback this episode, you find out that Chisei's mom at the time of this flashback, was pregnant. Chisei was going to be a big sister.
Yeah, by the way, that was a huge,
Yeah.
just out of nowhere, it's like,
Yeah.
wait a second. First of all, there's Chisei's dad, which
Yep.
is
Yeah.
Nothing about-
nothing
Yeah.
about him. Handsome man. But two, yeah, Chisei's mom's pregnant. What?
Yeah, and we don't get any closure on that, do we?
No.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe
So
I have no idea.
Here's my theory. Putting those two elements together, did Chisei's mom miscarry? Was she no longer able to have more children? And that's why she didn't kill Chisei when she came very close to it? Because that's all she's got to pass on? I don't know. That seems to be what they are hinting at.
I hadn't
this
considered
show-
that. I thought the more anime route of we're gonna get little sister showing up later, and we'll get something with that'll go like, "Hey, Dad's still alive."
Yeah, that is entirely possible too. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing we know for sure is that her mom committed suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond that, like, yeah, we don't know what, if anything, happened to her dad. If he fucked off, if he died, if he...
Yeah, first time we ever saw anything, I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess
don't
Dad's
even-
in the story."
I don't even think I've heard the name. I don't even think I've heard the word dad
Yeah.
out of her mouth.
No.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
I will be real interested to see what happens, but in the meantime, continuing to fuck this show.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great finale. This was amazing. I loved it.
It's everything I wanted and a little bit more. The show's fantastic. If you're not watching it, what are you doing?
Yeah, seriously, watch it.
It's so good.
And we will continue to watch it. It is the only officially 100% confirmed thing we are going to be watching in winter 2018.
True.
We will hit you up with that poll probably next week, but we shall see. And we shall also see what we think about our in memoriam, in retrospect, our 4 weddings and a funeral,
Or
8 funerals and up to 3 weddings. we
No
still
more?
don't, yeah, we still don't know. We don't know what each other's marries are.
No.
We're gonna find that out next time on Anime FMK. See you guys on the other side. Hey guys, quick housekeeping note. So, right after this, we recorded our wedding ceremony and then the Fuck Buddy Awards immediately after that, and they both went incredibly long. So it's gonna take a little longer than usual for editing on those, but please stay tuned and check out discord.gg/Team4Star for the latest updates about when we'll be getting those out to you. Thanks so much, you guys. See you next time.